Jowie of the Monica Kimani case, very unfortunate case of a few years ago, gets a presidential pardon. And then on day 3 of the scheduled tour of Migori, news comes in, the president is in another county. And in the new budget, the president's office receives even more money for even more renovations. And then the 4 suspects who threw one shoe at the president. Oops, is that really what happened? Or is the narrative that 4 shoes were thrown? But then these people are said to have been identified by video. Where are the other 3 shoes in that same video? And the state plans to prosecute them with, guess what? Treason. And then all the way in Maju, I believe in Los Angeles, United States of America, chants of Ruto must go are heard. What is going on in the motherland? Is it real? Or are we in a dream, actually a nightmare, that we're going to wake up from shortly? Welcome to my show today, which is a drone show, and which I assure you will be super fascinating. But first, a quick one. Apparently very many fans of the Kumekucha brand were left out. Chris, you didn't give us enough time. The time was too short. And therefore, we have decided to extend briefly the period for birthday gifting, which means giving more of us a chance to be included in the Super 20. The people will get a super pass to everything Kumekucha. And in any case, we are still in May. The Kumekucha brand was launched in May, a month exactly like this one. And of course, I continue celebrating. So there you go. The window of opportunity has been extended, but by only very little. So please take full advantage of it. Right. What is a Kumekucha drone show? Okay. What we have done over the years is to step back, take a bird's eye view, hence the drone. And it has always helped us a lot to be able to grasp exactly what is going on. And more importantly, to clearly identify what is coming. Please allow me a quick illustration. You're on Mombasa Road, on the way to a well-earned holiday, brief holiday, at the coast. And then you run into this very serious traffic snarl-up. Traffic jam. Then in the middle of nowhere, on a major highway, one of the most major highways in the country called Kenya. What is this? The idea was a holiday. I thought I left this nonsense in Nairobi. And then your dear partner tells you, relax, don't get your pressure up. Eco drone hapa, and you send the drone up there. The pictures being beamed back to your phone show you where the problem is. Almost a kilometer away, a truck has blocked the highway. But then, voila, the pictures also show you a road on the side you can take to avoid all this mess and continue on your merry way down to the coast. Problem solved. That is what a drone show is all about, in one simple, very Kenyan story. Now, the initial pictures being beamed down onto our phones over motherland Kenya are very confusing. There seems to be so much tension in the country. Trouble here, hotspots there. Politicians sweating. It's not very clear. It is not easy to be able to tell exactly what is happening. But let us cut to the chase and discover exactly what is unfolding here, and which shortcut we can use to avoid this mess. Wouldn't that be lovely? Now, the big problem we have in the country is wind. I know you're puzzled. Winds of change. That is our major problem. And the pictures we're getting back from the drone are showing us many, many signs and trends of people trying to resist a wind of change. That is the key. Now we know from history that usually the winds of change start blowing harder and harder when people's eyes have been opened. And the eyes of the people of Kenya have been opened in a very major way. Extremely major. Oh, by the way, Jowie, Joe Irungu, that story. Okay? For those who are very curious about that, he has received a presidential pardon. Stay with me. I will tackle that towards the tail end of this show. You don't want to miss that one. Okay? The eyes of Kenyans have been opened. And super fascinating, history is very instructive. When the winds of change blew over the nation called Kenya, which ultimately led to independence on December 12th, 1963, where did those winds come from in arriving in East Africa? They came from West Africa. Okay? In other words, the winds in Kenya and East Africa intensified tremendously after the eyes of our West African brothers and sisters were opened. Fast forward to the present. Where is the country called Burkina Faso? It is in West Africa. And if you go into social media, it is packed, it is drowning, it is being suffocated by posts about the new leader of that country, Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. And it is becoming clear to more and more Kenyans that as wonderful, almost miraculous things are happening in that tiny West African country, meanwhile in Kenya, we are locating more funds for renovations of the offices of Wakubwa. State House renovation, renovation in the office of the president, huge funds being allocated. And meanwhile the people are being told, tumepanga, tumetenga, we have allocated, we will do. Next year, by next year we will do this for you. By 2027, we will have fulfilled our promises, etc., etc. Please be patient with me. We're coming to the details. Now, usually when a wind of change is blowing, the people who resist it usually end up being laughing stocks. Why? Because it becomes very clear and very obvious, apparently only to those who are watching, that what they are doing and what they are saying in resisting the winds of change just looks more than ridiculous. It's funny. Bottom line, if you can stop the wind, if there's anybody out there who can stop the wind, okay, then it is possible to stop the winds of change that are now blowing over the motherland. And something else very scary for those who try to resist these winds. It is also true that those who resist these winds by doing same old, usually do not end in a good place. Let's go back very quickly and very briefly to history. In Karen, in the outskirts of Nairobi, Mzungu did something that he had always done, and other Mzungus had always done, and had gotten away with it. Okay? A native Kenyan was riding his bicycle from work, going home. And the native Kenyan forgot that he was not back home in Ukambani, and he did what he always did. He threw a stone. He threw a stone at the fence where the dogs were. The stones didn't touch the dog. The Mzungu was sitting on his backyard, saw this. Yeah, he was relaxing there. And he called this native African, told him to go round through the gate and come and see him. Now, of course, in those days, if a Mzungu calls you and you refuse to go, you ignore, that was treason. And as this Kenyan was coming to see this Mzungu, the Mzungu went inside his house, opened his safe, removed his bastola, came out, and shot the native Kenyan dead. his crime? To dare to throw stones at my dog. Now the usual procedure is that if the authorities ask for an explanation, he would simply say, trespassers, end of story. But the Mzungu did not realize, had not noticed, the winds of change blowing over colonial Kenya. And so, to cut a long story short, this Mzungu found himself on trial for murder shortly after that. And guess what? Alinyongwa. He appealed to the Queen, he appealed to all the Mzungus, but the winds of change were too strong. Alinyongwa Committee, hence becoming the very first Mzungu to be hanged in colonial Kenya. And I'm informed after this incident, a handful of Mzungu settlers left the country called Kenya forever, including the man's widow and her children. My apologies. I do not want to stir anybody. All I want to emphasize is that when there's a wind of change blowing, it can be tragic and fatal to pretend it is not blowing, it is not there. Now, we all know that even as these winds of change are blowing, we are still bang in the middle of the season of exposure. But today, I want to give a heads up of another season that has entered, even as we're in the season of exposure, even as we continue to be in it. It is the season of restitution, restoration. Your ancestral land was grabbed from your great-grandfather. You go to court, you present the evidence, it is restored to you, complete with the beautiful apartments, maybe even gated community built on it. You see, when something is restored to you, it is usually restored with interest. Okay? That is the season we have entered. Of course, as the restoration is happening, the people who robbed your great-grandfather are exposed. And so those seasons are running concurrently. Okay? They're not interfering with each other. They're twins, joined at the hip. The restoration is both financial and also justice. Now, what this means politically across the country is even more fascinating. All the stolen loot, all the property gained as a result of dipping your hand into public funds, all of them are going to be restored to the people of Kenya. Now, I know that some of us don't believe me, just like you didn't believe me when we said on this very channel that we're in the season of exposure. Okay? But let time be the judge, as usual. And now I'm going to shock some of you. Some of the big Kenyan families, who are also very spiritual and a bit wise, have also noted this. And therefore, they're already taking precautions. Unfortunately, what some of them are doing is using their money and resources and power to stop the wind of change, to fight the wind of change in their favor. Do you think it'll work? You tell me. If you asked me, remember what I said? When the winds of change come, they cannot be stopped. Not by money, not by power, not by anything. Now, unfortunately, there is a dark side to this wind of change. In the 50s, we know what happened. There was the Mau Mau uprising, a very terrible bloody time in the country called Kenya. Wazungu walikatwa kichwa, Dedan Kimathi alinyongwa, etc., etc. Usually, the wind comes with chaos. Now, most of us are, of course, very happy about those changes that the wind is bringing. However, what we want is for it to happen neatly, in an orderly manner, without any problems, any chaos, any violence. Hizo hatutaki. We want a neat change. I'm so sorry. That does not exist. Change is never neat. Especially when we know that it is human nature to resist change. Now very quickly, how do we survive this wind of change? Number one, you do not resist it. Instead, you align with it. What that means is that where the wind is moving, you move with the wind. You try your very best not to divert and find yourself in a position where you're resisting this wind. You move with it. Number two, and admittedly, this is not easy, but it has to be done. Find your calling. Find the reason why you're born and try your best to rush back there. Don't worry about money. There's financial chaos in the world anyway. Find your calling, your reason for being here, and rush there as soon as possible. Number three, make peace with the owner of the wind. You know, the wind is a sole proprietorship. It has only one owner. Only one person who can order it. Okay? Make peace with that person. That person, of course, is not even a person. It is the Most High, the Almighty, the Ancient of Days. And then number four, stay alert. This will be the year. If you're able to be shown the year up to the end, you will not believe. The things you will see, you will not believe. And I'm not talking about the UDA government. I'm talking about you and I and everybody. You will not believe. Okay? So, number four is be alert. Anything and everything will happen. Now, those pictures coming down from the drone are getting a lot clearer now. Don't you agree? We can now see what is really happening. And unfortunately, as we say in Kenya, nabado. And now, let us dive into solid examples of what is unfolding to prove what we are saying. Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, Fred Matiang'i, etc., are very busy with their politics. And their politics is same old. Tribal groupings. Get a Kikuyu kingpin. Get a Kamba kingpin. Get a kingpin, I don't know from where and where. Let them sit on the table. They have all the votes. And let them decide on a single presidential candidate. Very neat. Very clever. It has always worked in the nation called Kenya. Just like that poor Mzungu in Karen in the 50s. Kupiga risasi natives had always worked for him and his colleagues. Round here, tribal groupings in Kenya will not work. Those gentlemen are wasting their time. Why? Because they are trying to resist the wind of change. They are trying to do things contrary to the wind of change. It will never work. Now, I'm keenly aware that many of us are still analyzing Kenyan politics that way. Oh yes, and have no problem with that. And although I sympathize with you, I have no problem with that. I have washed my hands. I have given you the reality. It is up to you. There will be no blood in my hands because I've told you the truth, what is happening. Now it is up to you. Maybe it is true that that is the most entertaining way of analyzing politics. Chris, how else can we analyze politics? Hatujui style yengine, ni hiyo tu. Yeah, I realize that. But then, this wind of change cannot be ignored. It can't. Okay? So I beg you, find another way of analyzing Kenyan politics. Oh, we don't want too many candidates, Matiang'i and Maraga on the ballot will definitely split the vote and Ruto will win. Yada yada. Hey! My friend, that is ancient history. There is nothing like that. Let as many Kenyans as possible exercise their constitutional right and vie for the presidency. Even 100, even 500, it will not change anything. In fact, it will be good. Some of the restitution will happen. Yeah, the money will go back to the people, or will start going back to the people, which is consistent with this season. However, it will not change the results of that election. There will be no splitting of votes based on tribe or whatever. There will be no splitting. Hakuna. The winner will win by a landslide. One person. After the chaos, after the wind has subsided, the next president of Kenya will be a David, son of Jesse, a man after God's own heart, a man who will use wisdom that has been given to him by the Most High to bring such change into the nation called Kenya. This country will be unrecognizable. You know, many years ago, there was a prophecy that said, there is a time that is coming, people are going to envy Kenya. They're going to start asking, why Kenya? Why? Why not us? That time is coming. But meanwhile, weka na Matiang'i wako. Weka na Maraga wako. Yeah. Personally, I have left that space for the simple reason I don't want to be anywhere in the way of the wind of change. Okay? Now, as promised, Joe Irungu. This presidential pardon has annoyed many Kenyans because a vast majority of Kenyans believe that Jowie is guilty, that he actually committed the crime. After all, a court of law found him guilty. Okay? However, the truth is, this latest development confirms a lot of the things I have said on this channel about this case. I too was fooled at the beginning, like everybody else. But the man is innocent. It was a setup. And it seems that somebody may have been promised that if they kept their mouth shut, all would be well. Well, now all is well, apart from the wrath from the Kenyan people. Please allow me to leave it there. This is highly sensitive because many of the players of this drama are still very powerful people in the country called Kenya, and also very ruthless and brutal and everything. However, I am more than confident that in this season of exposure and restitution, things will not go how they've always gone. That is, hiyo maneno imeishia hapo. Haijaishia hapo. Let us just be a little patient, and all will be as clear as day to everybody. Now, as I said earlier, we have decided to extend the time for birthday gifting slightly. Too many of our dear supporters were left out, and therefore the time has been extended. Please take full advantage of it, and please hurry. You can see details on your screens right now. And of course, even these latecomers will be included when we look for those 20 super people who will have a super pass to everything Kumekucha. Past, present, future. The details for participation are before you, but they're also included in the description area below this video on YouTube. The season of restitution has arrived bang in the middle of exposure, and the wind of change blowing over the motherland is unstoppable. All for a better Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.